Hey everyone, this is Steve at OpenBOM. In today's video we will be looking at how do I write values from SolidWorks to OpenBOM, and how do I change them in OpenBOM and write the change value back to SolidWorks. So sort of a two-step process there. It has a couple of details that are important, so we're going to dive into them. I have a SolidWorks assembly open in SolidWorks, and I have a number of parts and subassemblies. I've installed the OpenBOM add-in, and I've signed in through OpenBOM. Provide my credentials here. I've also created a template, and this is very important for this particular activity, where I've chosen some of the properties that I want to send out to OpenBOM. It's important that any property that you wish to update back from OpenBOM to SolidWorks be listed here. So now some of my SolidWorks files that are in this list have some of these properties. Not all of them do, and we keep track of that. So things like commodity code, bin location, they were found in at least one of the files in that list. So I've included them here. Okay. We've set it, we've told the integration to create a multi-level bill of material, and let's go ahead and create a BOM. So, OpenBOM is going through the structure, picking out all the properties, as well as the thumbnails and whatnot, and building a bill of material. And here we have it. So we're going to see that in this bill of material are data that came from SolidWorks, as well as some information about a couple of properties that we're going to be focusing on. And they're down here at the end. They are commodity code, bin location, and keywords. And I set some of these up ahead of time. Some I intentionally left blank. So for example, AI plate does not have a commodity code defined. So we're going to go ahead and define that as a commodity code S for some sheet metal. And I'll go ahead and give it a keyword of sheet metal. And this one down here, I'm going to give this a keyword of plastic, and I'm going to update the bin location for that one. That's going to be in bin location 23. So, and then I'll make a change to the commodity code on this one here as well. That one has to be P for plastic. Okay, so I made a few changes. I can make changes to any of these other values, as well. Comments and things. For example, on this is a plastic tube. That will be written into the comment area in the SolidWorks file. We'll see where that goes in just a second. And then up here, I'll correct a typo where this says, my words here are make from scratch. It could just say simply build versus buy, but we're going to make some changes. So we made some changes in OpenBOM, and we're going to return, and there's nothing else to do here. We're going to return to SolidWorks with the same assembly open, or open the same assembly. We're going to use a command up here called update CAD properties from BOM. We're going to go ahead and choose that. It's possible that you may have multiple bills of material for this, so we're going to choose which one we want to use. And we'll get a message about what's going to happen, and we'll bring that in. Okay. And there's a log file here that has a lot of information in it. We're not going to dive into it now, but if you're in this with trouble, you might be able to look in there and find some things you might find interesting. So we changed a few things on the AI plate. Okay, so let's go take a look at the AI plate. We need to open it inside SolidWorks, since each SolidWorks model stores its properties locally. And let's look at we see that we updated our bin location on that one. Okay. Let's also take a look at the summary on that one. We corrected the typo, make from scratch, and I also see that we brought over the keyword sheet metal, which we didn't have before. So we just brought that information back. Let's look at another one. I think we also updated the 2-inch poly tube. So let's take a look at that. We'll do the same thing. We'll see that we go in a keyword plastic. We brought our comment over. And in our custom field, we updated both the commodity code and the bin location, as shown here. So the important thing to remember here is a few key issues. So let me recap, and then we'll discuss about what the key issues are. What we did was we defined we defined some properties in our SolidWorks files, and this can kind of be, if you haven't done this ahead of time, this can be laborious. There are a number of tools out there to help you sort of batch update or create a lot of properties in SolidWorks files. If I think of it, I'll try to add a link or something at the end of this video that helps there. But we visited those files, and we opened each one of them individually inside SolidWorks, and we created that property type that we wanted to update. Make sure that that property was defined. We then, having done that for all the files in our SolidWorks assembly, we then went to the OpenBOM settings area, and we edited or created a template which had those properties in it that we wanted to bring to OpenBOM, making sure that we included those properties, especially that we wanted to be bi-directional, in other words, that we wanted to bring back. This is, through this template is how this connection is made, how OpenBOM knows that, for example, to update the keywords back in SolidWorks. So be sure to include that. We then use the create update bill of material command here in the ribbon bar, and we created a bill of material in OpenBOM. Then we just edited this just like any other spreadsheet. We edited this. We made some changes to some of the things that some of the properties that we brought over, as well as some of the default properties that show up in the SolidWorks file properties area. So we made some changes to those. We then returned to SolidWorks, and we used the command update CAD properties from BOM, and we chose the BOM. If we had more than one, we chose the BOM that we want to bring the properties from. So I suggest you start with something, small, like I've done here. It's manageable. Kind of get the hang of how the properties interact within SolidWorks and OpenBOM. Run it back and forth a few times. If you have any trouble, of course, we'd love to hear from you at support@openbom.com. Thanks.